Good morning, students, and welcome to your video tutorial about how to complete your Flighty problem lab. As you saw in the video, there is wonderful evidence that shows how modern-day birds evolved from a specific group of dinosaurs. Today, in your lab, you're going to look at some examples of those fossils and try to identify different bird-like features in the fossil. By identifying the bird-like features and how many they actually have, we can decide which ones were the oldest and which ones were the youngest. Today, you should start out by reading all of your directions. And pay close attention here. This is a handout. It's another Google Doc that when it opens up, you can see it describes each of the bird-like traits that you're going to be looking for. There's 8 in total. Some of them are pretty easy to see and pick out, like feathers. Some of them are a little bit more difficult to identify. Like, for instance, the deep chest. Notice that big, deep chest there. Some of them might be easy to see, while others might be a little bit more tough to pick out. If you're having trouble picking out a specific trait in the fossil pictures, there are some hints shown below, and I'll walk you through how to do each one of those. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take a look at each one of these fossil cards. When you click on the name of the fossil, it'll pull up a picture with a written description as well as some pictures of their fossils or skeletons or whatever evidence we have. Here we've got the modern bird. You can see it's got a short description about it and points out here in the skeleton some of the features that you can see in that modern bird. If you're struggling to identify those particular bird-like traits, you can click on the next link below the name of each fossil, which is a video that takes you to the hints I've provided to help you identify those traits. Each one of these links brings you to another one of these screencasts as I am looking at each one of those fossil cards and explaining what's happening. After you have looked through a fossil card and you've decided whether or not it has a feature, you will mark yes if it has that particular feature or no if it does not. Just place an X underneath whichever column applies to that specific feature. So for instance, the modern bird has feathers, so you would check yes. The Anchiornis has feathers, so you would check yes. The modern bird has wings, so you would put your X under yes. The Anchiornis does not technically have wings, so you would put your X underneath the no column. After you've completed your data table, you'll need to rank these birds from youngest or the newest evolved by listing their number of traits. The modern bird is going to have the most bird-like traits. In fact, it has all of the modern bird-like traits because it is the modern bird. And then you'd go down to the oldest, which is going to have only one of those bird-like traits. You'll order your fossils from youngest to oldest. After you've compiled your data table into an easier format to read and understand, you're going to need to create a bar graph. You're going to need to draw it, label it, title it, all of those wonderful things that go along with a graph. Take a picture of it and insert it here in between your data analysis and the analysis questions section of your lab. If you're struggling or need some extra help with your graph, I have a template here. It'll pull up a picture of this template. This format right here should fit all of the information you need in a really helpful, organized manner. Your directions tell you that if you can, you're welcome to print that off and use it, or you can just copy it exactly as in your notebook and then fill out your graph and put in your picture. After you've completed your graph, you're going to need to complete your analysis questions. There's 5 of them. And the directions remind you that you need to answer in complete sentences and include examples from the experiment. So for instance here, when it asks which one is older, how do you know? You should go back to the number of bird-like traits that each one of those species had and use that to decide if it was older or younger. As always, your lab has a rubric attached to it that gives you a description of everything I'm looking for in your lab. It also includes everything that should be on your graph here. I would recommend that you use this rubric as a checklist to double check your work before you submit it. This is exactly what I'm going to be grading you on. And so if you know that you're missing a descriptive title, then you should go back and fix it before you turn in your lab. As always, my email is constantly open during the school day, and if you need any additional help, please let me know what I can do to better assist you. Good luck, students.